Expanded Public Works Program, EPWP, contribution to the socio-economic recovery post-COVID-19 and consequences of the recent unrest. My name is Gamelihle Sibanda. I will start my presentation with a reflection on the impact of COVID-19 and recent unrest on the challenges already faced by South Africa's poor. One of the strategies adopted to slow down the rate of COVID-19 infections was national lockdowns. Lockdowns meant the majority of companies had to stop production. Many companies laid off staff and some closed down permanently. This led to the worsening of the already high levels of unemployment. Unemployment impacts are greater on low-skilled workers who are less likely to have backup financial resources or savings. Unlike knowledge workers, most low-skilled workers could not work remotely, as the nature of their work generally requires physical presence. I will now talk about the impact of recent unrest on the challenges faced by South Africa's poor. The unrest in July 2021 culminated in looting, mainly of retail shops and some warehouses. Destruction of infrastructure, such as shops, that the poor depend on for supplies and jobs. Loss of jobs and worsening the already high rate of unemployment. Direct consequences include the inability of the affected poor to meet their basic needs, such as food and shelter. Induced consequences include reduced demand for transport as people stayed home. Reduced tourism as visitors were scared to come to volatile areas. There will be further negative impacts that are currently not discernible. The extent of youth unemployment and desperation was clearly visible during the unrest. Next, I will reflect on the impact of the government's inability to provide needed services. The government directly or indirectly provides social services that are critical, especially for the poor. Services such as health care, education, and safety. Social safety nets, such as social grants and the presidential economic stimulus. The impact of these interventions was undermined by the low tax income revenue, which was heavily dented by lockdowns, company closures, and job losses. Furthermore, the country's negative economic outlook discouraged lenders from providing financial support. Inadequate provision of social services provides ingredients for despair, social unrest, and opportunistic acts. Such as the looting and destruction of property witnessed in July 2021. Admittedly, some of the lootings were motivated by greed rather than desperation. I will now talk about the possible effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on the profile of the EPWP in 2020-21 and the immediate future. The majority of EPWP workers are unskilled and semi-skilled and hence cannot work remotely. Therefore, they suffered disproportionately from the direct and indirect consequences of the pandemic. As an employer of last resort, the profile of EPWP participants in the future may include retrenched formal workers, some of whom possess skills and higher levels of education. They may have to rely on the EPWP until the active labor market recovers. Let's consider how the EPWP can accommodate more and new non-traditional participants. The EPWP will need to grow, not just in terms of numbers of participants, but also in terms of the diversity in the types of work opportunities it creates, to cater to the changing profile of participants. If EPWP is deemed not the appropriate vehicle to carry the non-traditional participants, then new programs and initiatives urgently need to be created to accommodate these participants. I will conclude with an interpretation of the above with reference to scale, nature of work, and new technologies. Assuming the EPWP continues to be considered an employer of last resort for both the unskilled and semi-skilled unemployed, it would need to have sub-programs that target specific segments of the poor and unemployed, such as linking participants with entrepreneurial ability with the Green Fund to start green projects, establishing a government venture capital initiative and a national innovation fund, plus a coding and application development initiative for youth not in education, employment, or training, the so-called NEETs. These could include the unskilled, semi-skilled, skilled, and those who need to be reskilled and upskilled to enhance their future employability. COVID-19 accelerated the transition to the future of work, especially in terms of the adoption of ICT technologies. EPWP will need to leverage technologies that complement the profile of its participants, whilst preserving and creating work opportunities for those who cannot be absorbed in the active labor market. Funding will continue to be a constraint, hence innovative solutions in partnership with the private sector will be imperative. In conclusion, I believe it may be necessary for the EPWP to create a technical and social innovation platform to navigate the new post-pandemic future of work and to mitigate future social unrest.